Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, here with some sad news for you, if you care about this sort of thing at least. And that is that it's official. The Justice League is the lowest grossing DCEU movie ever. Yeah, coming in at like $657 million. So that estimate of it only grossing $650 million from a while ago was pretty on point. Was pretty on point. And it's sad that Justice League came in with that low of a number. You know, it really did. The movie was a lot of fun. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't the Snyder cut, but it was still a lot of fun. I had a good time with it, and you could see the tonal changes that DC was doing as a way to try to like lighten the mood and try to maybe course correct. I don't know necessarily if Justice League was the right movie to course correct with, but that of course is you know, the way the cookie crumbles, so to speak. And it's interesting too, because they decided, or this number was pretty much known right after the opening weekend, which is when it had $93 million as an opening weekend number. And that was like, ooh, that's not good. It should have done a lot more, which is so weird. We've gotten to a point in our society, especially when it comes to movies, that 93 million on an opening weekend is considered a bad thing, right? Like go back to 2002 when Spider-Man 1, first 3-day totals were 112 million. And that was like, oh dear God, we've never seen anything come even remotely close to this. Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. And now 93 million is considered a bomb. So it just goes to show you precisely how much money studios are spending and really how much they're kind of wasting to some extent. And when it comes to these kind of things. So that being said, you know, looking at like the rundown of the films, you've got Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is still the #1, believe it or not, with 850 some odd million. And then right underneath that is Wonder Woman with 820 million. And so, you know, Suicide Squad is like 723 million. And interestingly enough, Man of Steel beat out the Justice League by like 10 million. So it made like 660 some odd million. And Justice League came in underneath it. Now, look, the thing is, between these 5 movies, of course, the DCEU is a multi-billion-dollar franchise. So they're not obviously going to do a huge course correction in terms of rebooting it, but they might do some very big changes. That would be, of course, you know, they're doing the New Gods with Ava DuVernay as the director of that, which I think is a very poor choice, considering that A Wrinkle in Time failed to connect with not only critics but audiences, and considering the fact that they want the New Gods, they want Shazam, they want Aquaman to be a hit with critics and audiences. Bringing in a director who does not do well in terms of big budget is not going to be the right course of action. Walter Hamada is not making the right call on that one, but there's still time to course correct that, or hell, flashpoint it and bring in somebody else in order to really kind of nail it home. The guys who are working on the Flash movie are probably going to be scrapping Flashpoint and working on an entirely different movie, making it more of a comedy, probably similar in theme to what we've seen on the TV show. And you can see where elements of the DCEU are changing around, and a lot of people put this blame on Zack Snyder. They do. They put a lot of the blame on Zack Snyder. A lot of people look at the failure of Justice League and they put it squarely on Zack Snyder's shoulders following the release of Batman v Superman. And I just want to reiterate once again, that's not entirely his fault, right? Like it's not entirely his fault. He has taken the blame for this and not said a word publicly about it. Now he's kind of been a little bit snarky on Vero, which is a social media platform of which he only is on exclusively, and he's made a couple of statements and liked a couple things here and there that have led people to believe that yes, there is seriously something here going on. You know, he's not happy with the way things have gone, but ultimately he caught so much flack for Batman v Superman for the cut that went to theaters, you know, because there was an edict coming down from the top to cut out 30 minutes from the movie. Justice League was chopped down to 2 hours on the nose in order to fit in an extra runtime. That was coming from the head of Warner Brothers. Warner's does not know how to handle these movies, and as a result, they have attacked the filmmakers behind them. Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman, I'm just going to say, got lucky. The movie was really good, but is it like as good as Batman v Superman, the extended cut? No, God, no. Is it as good as Man of Steel? God, no. It wasn't. It really wasn't. It was a very straightforward movie that worked out well. And seeing Wonder Woman on the screen for technically the second time, but in her first solo movie, especially in 2017, was going to be a big thing regardless. And the movie deserved what it got. I'm in no way attacking it. But my perspective on it is that it didn't do much to kind of deconstruct these characters to make them want to fight for humanity. She always wanted to because of stories. but not because it wasn't until the end of Wonder Woman when she realized that, you know, like the whole humanity thing, like she kind of learned that going through, but she already kind of had that mindset. It is a weird thing on the journey, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on that one. The point I'm trying to get to here, folks, is that I feel like the DCEU has got a poor shake. I do. I feel like it's got a poor shake. I'm more of a Marvel fanboy, obviously, but I have a certain amount of love for the DCEU. It's the underdog, so I am more often than not rooting for its success, and I get bummed out when these movies fail to hit their maximum potential. But then I look into all the side stories and the information surrounding it, and it oftentimes boils down to the executive leadership that comes out of DC Films. And they tried to fix this in 2016, 2 years ago, when Batman v Superman came out, and it just got, you know, it got just destroyed by ratings. And they said, oh, let's bring in Jeff Johns, let's bring in these other people, let's correct course, let's bring in Affleck to executive produce and oversee the edit of Justice League. Let's do all of these things. And ultimately, none of that came to fruition because Joss Whedon came in and ended up taking over. And I look, he did his best. Let's be fair about that one. He did his best. But when you have so many cooks in the kitchen and so many people that are trying to, you know, showcase their vision, so to speak, this is where a lot of problems come from. And I would look honestly at how things are done with Marvel as a way to, you know, as a way to go forward. And I've talked about this with Star Wars too. They need a Feige. I thought this was going to be Jeff Johns. I did. I guess I'm wrong on that one. Like he either couldn't cut it or he couldn't, they just didn't like the way it was going, but they need someone to plot out a vision. And they need someone to sit there and go, okay, here's how we're going to do this. But they're still stuck in singular standalone adventures and not building towards a larger narrative. And that, of course, is the problem. Snyder made the attempt. And I think had we gotten the actual Snyder cut of Justice League, we would have seen the fruit, you know, we would have seen a lot of the fruits of that labor come through. I think we would have seen a lot more things. It would have tied into a larger universe, would have tied into a larger expanse of characters and leading into ultimately the Darkseid conflict, which is what they wanted to do, which is what they were trying to do in order to compete with Marvel and bringing out Thanos and whatnot. But it took them 6 years with Marvel and Thanos to get to this point. DC was trying to rush through a little bit of it. And again, that comes down to more of the executive leadership. And I think less about Zack Snyder. Now you could call me a Zack Snyder defender and I probably wouldn't disagree with you on that one, but that's where I see it. And it's unfortunate because I do believe that these are good movies and I do believe that these are good characters and good actors in the role. And I'd like to see that continue, but, it feels like they have, you know, they've kind of like shot their load, so to speak. And with these rumors of a takeover of Warner Brothers, if that fails to go through with the government, then they could sell off Warner and DC separately. And then it could go to a whole different company in order to create these kind of films. And the only company out there that would probably end up picking it up would be, I'd say, Universal. Would probably go and pick up the DC side of things. And maybe because DC and Legendary have worked together multiple times, you know, the Dark Knight trilogy and everything else, maybe that would be for the best. And that actually might be for the best at this point. So if you want my prediction for the future, at least what I'm kind of hoping, maybe Warner should sell off DC and give it over to Universal and Legendary and go back to the magic that made it work before and see if they can recapture it again. I can only hope, because I'd like to see Justice League continue. I'd like to see these movies continue, and I'd like to see them gross more money than what they've made, because it is sad ultimately that the team up, roughly 4.5 years in the making, was the lowest grossing movie of the entire franchise. That is, that just goes to show you that there's something horrifically wrong with DC films, and they need to carve out the cancer, so to speak. And Walter Hamada so far hasn't been blowing my skirt up, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But anyway, what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments below. I am curious to know what you guys have to say. And if you haven't already, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, and check back often for more content from me. In fact, if you want to see more content from me, you can do so right now.